So yeah, what did you get?
Well, I bought all kinds of things.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of shopping.
I know. I
Oh,
have much.
hello.
Oh, hey there. Excuse me. Good to see you. Welcome to Advanced Monday Afternoon Live Stream. This is a weekly thing where we get together with you guys who are reading your Advanced magazine, and we give you a few extra words and extra terms about a topic based on an article in the magazine. I am Peter, and I'm joined this week by John.
And today we're talking about shopping, specifically the activity where you go out and you look for something specific.
Right, good point. This isn't just about buying things. This isn't just about spending money. This is about shopping, kind of almost like hunting, you know, looking for the right one, the best one, the one you want, the one that's most sensible. Shopping.
I've got a quick question.
Yes.
So the word shop as opposed to store in general, how would you differentiate that in your English writing?
Good question.
When would you choose shop as opposed to store? And then, of course, the verb form. Shopping means being the consumer at the store.
Right.
Yeah.
No, our topic is shopping, and that's the verb form of the word, to shop. I shop, you shop.
Yeah.
But shop can also be a noun, like I go to the shop.
The shop, yeah.
And then it means basically store, usually a sense of it being a small store.
Yep. Yeah.
You wouldn't call Barnes & Noble a shop, you know, the big, or like
bookstore versus bookshop.
H&M, you know, you wouldn't call them a shop. You know, they usually have multiple floors and all this acreage of goods to sell. So a shop is just like a little place where you get done or something like that.
It's really cool branding that Shopee chose the word shop as well.
Yes.
Story.
Very smart.
They could have called
Shopee's
themselves
part.
Story. Hi there, Steve. Good afternoon.
Hey, Steve.
You were working on your project. Interesting. B, hello, and Kaysen, hi. How are you doing, Agatha? Hello, as always. It's good to see you all. Good job practicing your English. Get in there in the comments. Practice your English writing. If you haven't written anything in English today, go, go, go.
Always good to have you guys with us.
We've got a poll.
We've got a poll question here. Do you like shopping? Very simple. Do you like shopping? Yes, I love it. It can be fun. As long as I can sit for a bit. You know, it's okay, but just give me some place to sit down because I don't have enough strength just to walk around constantly. Or I like buying. In italics there. I don't like to shop. I don't like to look at this one and this one and this one and then decide which is best. I like to say, this one, here's the money, I'm going home.
You know, I don't know if it's the same here in Taiwan, but in the States there is this stereotype. We're married guys, right? And the stereotype is that the wife loves to shop and the husband is sort of being dragged around. So you can imagine him liking shopping as long as there's a comfortable place for him to sit while his wife shops. Now that is not always the case, so we want to know if you like to shop.
Yes. Do you like to shop? Check in on the poll question, let us know, and we'll get back to some results of that by the end of the live stream.
The results are coming in quickly. People are loving it. They're loving it. They're loving it. You know, there's an old saying in sales that people love to buy, but they hate to be sold. Like they don't want to be convinced, but they love the action of buying.
That's right. I completely forgot John has a background in sales before he came here to ORTV. So he'll be able to, he's the perfect guest host to have today for this particular topic on shopping.
But there is a question that we want you to answer, and that is, what is something you enjoy shopping for? What is something that gives you joy?
Right.
Peter, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I'll kick us off here. Something I enjoy shopping for is a good book. If I'm up for, you know, if I need a new book to read, fiction, nonfiction, I love to just go into a bookstore and, you know, browse. That's a vocab word for you. In fact, let's
browsing.
Throw it down there.
And browsing has to do...
B-R-O-W-S-E, browse.
Originally, this is an eating word, like a cow would browse or graze, which means...
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I think so. I could be wrong. But to browse means to slowly move through something. We also see right here, David, you said you don't like shopping unless you can eat something. So like a mall, where do you like to get a snack when you shop?
That's sort of what we mean by as long as I can sit for a bit. As long as it's not just shopping. Can I get something to eat? Can I sit down? Can I, you know, catch my breath? That sort of thing.
I like the eating at malls as well.
Yes.
Agatha, you say you have to avoid shopping too much. There are so many sales going on as Mother's Day is we sometimes say around the corner, by the way.
Yeah.
Mother's Day is around the corner instead of on the corner, but
Yes.
great use of that idiom. I know what you're saying. B, you say food for my family.
Yes, we all need to shop, food for the family. Sometimes you just go out and buy whatever is most convenient, whatever jumps into your hand, so to speak. Other times you want to say, what do I want for dinner this week? Or, how you're a bit more selective maybe, and that's shopping.
And if the more time you spend in the States, the more you'll notice the cultural difference here, where the focus on shopping for new kinds of food is so heightened here in Taiwan anyway. Yeah. My experience is pretty limited. Whereas in the States, you'll go out and buy something, but it's less of a cultural focus.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, people still shop, they go to malls, they look for deals. In the States, though, we have some of these other things, and today we're going to discuss different words for places to shop. So let's see if you found some of these places. In the States, there are lots of different types of places to buy.
Right.
A word that we sometimes...
I'm sorry, quick, just before we just plug the Advanced Magazine, this is the basis for the article. This week, you will see in your Advanced Magazine an article called Why You Like Minimalist Packaging. And it talks about design choices in packaging, things that you go shopping for, and why minimalist, very simple, not so muted colors, not a lot of exclamation points and bright, sharp colors, generally is what people prefer, although it does depend on what you're shopping for. Anyway, we thought let's talk about shopping today based on this article, so check it out this week in your Advanced Magazine.
Yeah, packaging is key. The packaging is the stuff that your item is put in.
Right.
Okay, Kaysen, let's see. Wait, B. Steve. Okay, Steve first.
Steve.
You like hunting for toys and books because what you buy for your next collection, you need ideas for your project. Okay, I see. So this is a comprehensive shopping. B, we celebrate almost every event with food, and I love it too. Yeah, it is true, we do.
We're coming over to your house for dinner.
Yeah, we're coming over to see you. Kaysen, you say normally you just enjoy window shopping, which is a great term. We're going to talk about window shopping in a moment, and then head towards the food court to get some nice food and drink.
Yeah.
That word court is a great dynamic word for any kind of open area place.
Particularly in shopping malls and shopping centers, they will have a food court.
Yeah.
They're smart. They know that shopping can take a while, that people do get hungry. So let's put a bunch of little food shops in a food court, not like a court of law, but like a court, in the word courtyard.
Yeah.
An area set aside for a particular activity, in this case, eating, the food court.
That's
and
right.
Yeah, John just mentioned Kaysen's mention of the word window shopping. Let's throw that one to you right now.
Okay, let's go to it.
That is one of our vocab words.
What is window
shop? You'll see it listed as window shop / dressing because there are these two words, both related to shopping, that begin with window. First, window shop. Josh, what does that mean?
Well, it's actually not shopping at all, really, right? Window shopping is when you walk by the windows or the exterior, the outside of a store, and you look at the items and you think, okay, you gauge your own interest.
Right, exactly.
And so window shopping is the process of walking through a number of stores and just looking, not necessarily buying.
Yeah,
window dressing.
Not even going into the stores sometimes.
No.
In some big cities like New York City, where I'm from, you can spend the day window shopping. It just means that you probably didn't go into any stores. You just walked past all the stores that I have, like on Fifth Avenue or something, where they have fancy displays in the window, and you just window shop. You didn't buy anything. Maybe you went into the store, maybe you didn't, but it means basically you were just looking at all the stuff that is being offered for sale.
And so that becomes its own art form.
Exactly.
The window dressing means the things that are in the front window of a store. If you imagine a classic movie store that has a big glass window with some kind of a display case for clothes or toys, that is the window dressing. But you can also use to dress something. We're not just talking about clothes, we're talking about decorating it.
Right.
So the art of window dressing is a whole thing.
Exactly. You will sometimes even hear that word outside of a shopping context to describe something that is put on something else just to make it look better than it really is.
Okay, it's just window dressing.
Yeah, they will say, that particular policy that politician is suggesting is just window dressing to make him more appealing to a certain group of voters. But it doesn't indicate what he really believes, what he really thinks is important. It's just window dressing.
Like that politician wears cowboy hats when he visits the southern U.S. It's just window dressing.
It's just window dressing. He's not a real cowboy. That's
well,
the thing.
Friends, let's keep moving here because I want to get to this interesting vocab word, bazaar.
Bazaar.
But not spelled B-I.
Yes. B-A-Z-A-A-R, not...
B-I-Z-A-R-R-E. R-R-E, meaning strange. Oh, that was a really bizarre situation. Here, a bazaar is it's basically a series of shops. It's kind of like a marketplace, basically.
It's a collection of small shops, particularly in parts of Africa, northern Africa. That's sort of where they originally came from.
Yeah,
now it's any collection of small shops. Like if you've ever been over to Yanshan by the Fine Arts Museum here in Taipei, they have that big open area outside of the former soccer stadium, right by the MRT line there, the elevated MRT line. And from time to time, they'll set up those little tents where you can buy little sorts of things. You could call that a bazaar.
By the way, really quick, Joy, hello. You say you like buying things with the basic functions but last longer. So you're talking about something that's a simple version of the item instead of a fancy version, I think is what you're saying.
Right.
And it is nice to buy things that last for a long time, which is why it's good to take your time while shopping. Yes. Here, the word bazaar, you could apply it to something like a night market if you're selling something other than food as well.
Yeah, a night market is a kind of bazaar.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. And just to help you with it a little bit, because when you pronounce it, the two words bazaar and bizarre sound almost the same.
Yeah.
But bizarre, you want to listen for that I sound.
That was bizarre.
That was a bizarre thing, he said. Oh, well, never mind. Let's go to the bazaar. It's subtle, but it is different.
Careful if you end up in a bizarre bazaar. If you're in a bizarre bazaar, they're selling all kinds of things.
They're
you don't know what's going on.
Elephants over there and water guns.
It implies a Middle Eastern market, or North African Middle Eastern market.
Right. Any collection of small shops that aren't normally there, not like storefront buildings and such like that.
Yeah. Now let's find a more French word for a shop.
Yes.
A boutique.
B-O-U-T-I-Q-U-E, boutique.
Whoa. Okay, boutique. Yeah, and a boutique is like a specialty store or a shop, right? That typically has kind of a hand-curated selection. That means the owner has really taken care to find very specific items to sell. So often we have clothing boutiques or a flower boutique, something that's made with care.
The Gap is not a boutique.
Okay.
Uniqlo is not a boutique. They're fine stores. You wouldn't call them a boutique is all. A boutique would be like John's. It would just be called John's. And it would be about the size of this room and would have everything. You couldn't get anything
only
there for less than 1,000 NT or something.
Only $1,000 ties.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's something very specialized, and usually very fancy or expensive too.
That's right.
Boutique store.
A boutique. So you can describe lots of different kinds of stores as boutiques if they have a custom selection. Yeah. There's one thing that you'll find in the States, though. This is the opposite of a boutique, a flea market. Okay, do you know what a flea is? That little hopping insect?
Market.
Yeah, and a flea market is a kind of second-hand place of buying. You can buy things that are used. It is a market, so there are lots of different people selling second-hand items, often for pretty good prices.
Yeah, a flea market is a kind of a bazaar in that it's a collection of individual vendors selling things that aren't normally there. They're not, established store buildings or anything. But a flea market, like John was saying, particularly for used goods, secondhand goods, kind of the opposite of a boutique.
And the implication is that there might be fleas on those things, right? Like, there's
usually
fleas on it.
There usually aren't, but that's the origin of the term.
Really quick, Joy, you're taking us back. This is good. To you, boutique means expensive, with an E. And you're right. If something is a boutique item, just as a standalone adjective, yes, it can mean like a specialty. Often it's implied that it's expensive. Oh, that's really boutique. It's hard to find.
Right.
Yeah, very good. Agatha, is a flea market similar to a garage sale? And the answer is yes, but no. They're both second-hand things. But a flea market is an actual location that's usually always there on like a Saturday, or always there once a year, or always there 24/7.
Right. A garage sale is right at someone's home. in their garage, usually. That's how the term, they might have it out on the lawn, but yeah, it's a particular person who doesn't normally sell things. They're just selling things now because they need to move or something's happened. But a flea market would be people who do that on a regular basis.
And they go there to sell their stuff. Garage sales are really, really fun. I've done a bunch of them before. It's a really fun way of meeting your neighbors and getting rid of
Hey,
things.
Kaysen, shout out to New York City. There are numerous interesting boutiques in Soho area in New York City. I know what you mean, Kaysen. Very trendy, fancy place, that Soho, yes, with all those boutique shops.
Steve mentions the shopping in Singapore, which is like, really famous. I hear there are so many amazing malls there. And Kaysen, you also mentioned in London, the downtown. Yeah, London has some really cool exhibits as well. Wow.
Window dressing, yeah.
Great use of the vocab there, guys. Now let's talk about some verbs here before we go.
Right.
The word browse we mentioned briefly, right?
B-R-O-W-S-E, browse.
It's a browse. Means to look through things kind of casually and in a non-committal kind of way.
Right.
You're not choosing anything, you're just browsing.
It's the next step up from window shopping. Window shopping, you might go in, you might not. You're just really looking at the window. But browse, okay, you're going into the store now. You're not ready to spend any money, and you might not. But you're looking around. You're looking at price tags, and you're thinking, you're considering it.
Esther, yeah, good use. You're seeing more and more young people selling homemade jewelry in the bazaar near the MRT, a group of shops and stores. Yeah, you could call that a bazaar. Normally a bazaar is something you can kind of always find in the same place. So maybe this is what you're describing. There's another word here. Let's talk about shopping for food really quick, because I'm sure we're all going to be doing this later today.
Perhaps minutes after we're done here.
The word foraging.
F-O-R-A-G-E, forage.
Yeah, if you're foraging, it means you're looking for food in kind of a desperate, like urgent kind of way, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to find it, but I'm foraging.
Yeah, and you can forage for other things too besides food. Most commonly it's food, but it's sort of the next level up from browsing. You start by window shopping, then maybe you go into some browsing, and then you go to foraging.
Your wife texts you, you need milk. Oh, I better forage for some milk. Can I find it at the 7? Where can I find it? Well, friends, I hope you have success in your foraging today. Have fun in your browsing. Do a little window shopping.
Can we check back on the poll just to see how things wound up there in the end? Okay. So most of you are at about number 2. Shopping can be fun.
It can be fun.
It can be fun.
It can be fun. A neutral.
Yeah. A good number of you, a little over a third of you, love it. So more power to you. As long as I can sit for a bit, 16% of you, and 0% for the last one. Nobody just likes buying.
I think there was a sarcasm in there that might not have been conveyed. Like, I like buying, but I don't like shopping.
Right, exactly.
That's humorous. All right, friends. Well, thank you for your time. Joy, you like doing the garage sale in the rich area? Yes, that's where to go.
Exactly.
Rich people getting rid of things that they didn't know were other people's treasure. There's an English phrase, one man's trash is another man's treasure. We'll have to talk about sometime. David, I'm browsing around. Yeah, you can say I'm browsing around. I'm just browsing, depending on what you want to convey.
When you're on the internet, you use a browser to go from website to website.
That's right.
That's a modern use of the term browse.
A browser. Yeah. All right, friends, we got a comment here. All right. Complement and complement
that's right.
the same.
Thanks for that question. I forgot about it.
The answer is, I think yes, to compliment someone, to give them a compliment. You might add a little bit more of an I sound on the noun form, but it's very subtle.
Yeah.
And when you're speaking in normal English, they sound almost identical.
It's almost like bazaar and bizarre. Compliment, very subtle. It is different, but hard to pick up with the ears.
At least for Americans, because we always use the schwa, which is the sound that we put every vowel through, right? Compliment. We just make everything into a U subtly. So it might be a little bit different if you're British. Compliment.
Yes.
Compliment. I don't want to give you a bad British accent, but the enunciation could be different if you're from Great Britain.
Anyway, thanks so much for all your comments. Thanks for joining us here today. We invite you to come back next Monday and every Monday to talk about another topic taken from your advanced magazine, and we will give you more vocab and more English to talk about and practice with us.
That's right.
So in the meantime,
Easter too.
We got to go do a little more shopping, I'm afraid, because I haven't found everything I need to get. So we'll see you next Monday. You guys have a good time. Oh, wait a minute.